Good morning, Texas. Welcome to the Circuit of the Americas. Thank you for joining us. With the sound of engines as our background, we are going to get underway with our pre-race ceremonies. Joining me
Well, we got into racing. My brother and I got into racing quite some time ago. We raced go-karts for 10 years, and we went all over the country racing go-karts. We went to Riverside, California. We went to Green Valley in Texas. We raced at the Nationals at Indianapolis, the raceway up there, and we were fortunate enough to have podium finishes at the Nationals. And we did that for about 10 years. Then there was a period of time that we were out of racing. And then as you get older and your professional career kind of peaks a little bit and you think, well, maybe I'd like to try it again. And so I got back into racing about 10 years ago and have been racing regularly 4, 5, 6 races a year ever since then. And we've had the fortune to go everywhere. We've raced at Barber in Alabama. We've raced at Laguna Seca in California, at Road America in Elkhart Lake, and of course we've raced at Texas World Speedway, and fortunate enough to race here for the Vintage Nationals, the inaugural Vintage Nationals that are being put on at Circuit of the Americas, which is the finest track that I've ever raced on.
I've always been wanting to race cars. When I was a young kid, I always wanted to race cars and play football. And I've done the football and I've done the coaching, so now I get to race the cars. And we raced go-karts in the 60s for years and years and years, and then of course all of us went our own way and we didn't get to do it again. And then Jeffrey gave me the opportunity to drive one of his cars about 5 or 6 years ago, and he asked me would I be interested, and I just jumped all over that. And I really thank him a lot for giving me the opportunity to drive that car.
It's been 15, 18 years ago. My friend and I went to a local race shop. They were doing something on a local airport, and we went out there and drove one of their cars and went, oh, this is kind of fun. And kind of laid it to rest, and then kind of spur of the moment, he called me up and said, hey, I've found a race car down in West Texas. We should go take a look at it. And we did, and paid not so much for it, and started racing it.
I think it's because it's being able to control a car very well under speed. You get a fantastic feeling with these vintage cars, these race cars, because unlike the passenger cars, they're very responsive, and that basically is a two-edged sword. It's very satisfying to make the car go where you want it to go and do what you want it to do. But the car, to some extent, is somewhat unforgiving. You make a mistake and you end up spinning out or going off the track. So it's challenging because you actually get a better feel of controlling the car.
I think I love the competition. I've been an athlete all my life. I coached for 30 years, so I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the challenge of it, and having been kind of mechanically minded anyway, it's an opportunity for me to take that and put it into something I love to do, and that's why I enjoy the racing.
I like going fast. Always have. As you might not know, I used to fly fighters in the Air Force, and it just kind of goes with my personality. I like to be challenged by machines, and right now a race car is the most challenging machine I can get into.
Well, what we do, particularly here at the Nationals, is that we get here early. We have 2 excellent mechanics that get the cars prepped for us. We're sort of in the mindset of prepping ourselves at the time. We're going over everything. We're checking things on the car. We're looking for things that we need to improve on. We're thinking about how we're going to run the race.
Well, the crew will tell you I don't know a whole lot about that car.
Okay.
I'm not mechanically minded. They have to explain to me how things work. Jeff obviously knows the history on it, and I've read the history, and it's a lot of fun to read the history. But the more I learn about it, the more fun it is to drive. The car is amazing. 71 Lola T212. I know when I told my friend Scott that I was going to get the chance to drive it, or even before that, he said, "Oh man, that is an amazing car." And I've read the history of T212s, and they are amazing cars.
If you're running twice a day, you kind of know what you're doing. Like normally we run in the morning and the afternoon, and I can eat a very light breakfast. Usually my honey bun and a Coke is what I usually drink most of the time. It's a stupid breakfast, but that's what I eat most of the time. But after that, I cannot eat anything. The adrenaline starts building up until I get in the car. Once I slide in the car, then everything goes away. I feel better. But till I get in the car, it's hard for me to concentrate on anything. But I get to feeling queasy, but the adrenaline's building up, and I just think about it, and I get real quiet. But once I get in the car, I'm okay. It's like the first hit in a football game. You're okay after that. And that's how I get to it. And then if you like yesterday, we waited all day to run one time, and it just sort of slowly built up yesterday. And when we got in the cars and we ran hard. I ran the hardest I believe I've ever run, and I had a great time. And I didn't realize until I pulled in the pits and turned the engine off that I was exhausted, because I spent so much energy that I'd built up for that particular day, and it showed. I mean, I ran my best time. The car ran well, and it was just great. It was great. I was expending what I got through.
My name is John Breidenbach, and we're from Beeville, Texas, and we race under CVAR, which is a Texas club that we race for. We have two cars in the race. We have a Lotus 18, which is the car behind us, which is number 78. It's a Formula Junior, 1960. And then I have a 1968 Lotus 51 Formula Ford. Well, I'm qualified 12th with the Formula Junior, and I'm 38th or something out of 46 in the Formula Ford. But I hope to move up a couple of places in Formula Ford. We're 12th on this car. We're a little further back on the other car in the other class, but I'm real pleased with the result in my group so far.
There was a point when I was racing my car that I was very confident in it and very comfortable in it, and I would sleep well then. But anytime I jump into this car that I'm driving now, I usually don't sleep very well. So I'll wake up early, get cleaned up, and usually get to the track and hang out with the car for an hour and a half before the session, and that's just to get comfortable with around the car, to make sure that it's running, that tire pressures are good, fluids are good, and that's all a part of my confidence in the car.
You try to kind of remember what you're supposed to do, how you set it up, and that's part of the challenge of the racing, is to be consistent and try to get better at every turn. Do I take it in first gear? Do I take it in second gear? Do I accelerate here, accelerate there? Do I late apex? You know, and the challenge is to learn how to make that corner the best, and then just in a straightaway how to get the most out of your car and a whole bit. And you just think about that each time, and you concentrate on that. You can't be thinking about going fishing next week or the next football game, something like that. You have to keep your mind on what you're doing, or you can get in trouble.
We're interested in what's going on around us. We're interested in what's the other racers are doing, whether or not that there's been some oil spilled on the track, whether people are having trouble with a particular corner. But as you get closer and closer to the time that you're going to grid up, you get suited up, you get in the car. It takes a while to get in the car because you've got to get buckled in. You've got 6-point harnesses. You've got your Hans device. You've got all of these things that you have to get ready. And then once you're ready, once you're in the car, it's the mindset is strictly on the race. Excitement. It's like any other sporting event. Before you get started, you're nervous. You're replaying the whole race in your mind. You're looking for those areas where you know that you've been deficient, and you're trying to think, now how am I going to do this? I got to remember that I've got to shift here. I've got to remember that I've got to take this turn with a late apex. And you're replaying all of this. And this goes on not only while you're sitting on the grid before you get ready to start, but once you're on the track in the pace lap, you're going through all this in your mind. You're thinking about, well, I got to scrub my tires, I got to watch this guy in front of me because I'm faster than he is on the straightaway, but I've got to get a good start. So you're thinking about all these things going through your mind at the time.
Being amateur and doing it for fun and everything, I start building up I'm already thinking about the next race, possibly in December. And if not, I'm thinking about the next race in February. And it's in the back of my mind, and I'm a real good organizer. And so I start thinking about where I'm going to stay, where we're going to go, what time we're going to leave, what time we need to get there, where we're going to be, and that type of thing. And it just sort of builds up and builds up and builds up. And I ride with the mechanics all the time because I enjoy those guys. They're tremendous people. They do a great job on the cars. I mean, they're just fantastic people, and I just enjoy being around them. And so we stay in the same place most of the time. I take care of their lodging for them, and that's just the way I get ready for it, and it just slowly builds to the game. My mind is on the next race already, and I'll think about it for a while.
The things I like about racing, I like challenging myself, seeing how I compare with other racers. And so when I'm on the track, what I feel is if I'm doing well against the others, then I feel really good. And if I'm not doing well, then I feel like I ought to be doing better. Well, I've never driven a modern car, modern race car, but I've watched a lot of it on television. And obviously the big differences are that they're older cars, so they have older technology. The car I drive doesn't have much downforce, so it's just a matter of manhandling around fast turns. And I suppose a modern race car is significantly faster and handles better, but like I said, I've never driven one, so I can't really make the comparison.
We have to work harder in our cars to do what they do, because we have transmissions, we have to shift, and we don't have the the ability to do stuff on our hand reins. And it's basic racing is what it is. I've never jumped in one of the new cars. First of all, you got to be about the size of a gnat to get in them. It's hard for people like me, my size, to race them because they are so small, and they're tremendous cars. But the cars we run in vintage cars, it's taking care of the equipment. We don't have to worry about if it breaks. I'm not a professional racer, so I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. It's just a little bit different. We have to work a little bit harder for what we do and concentrate a little bit more things. They have to concentrate because they're going so much faster with so much more sophisticated equipment that they work as hard as we do, but in a different way.
Even when there's not a race that's actually going on, you're thinking about the next race and what you want to do to prepare the car, what you want to do, what improvements that you can make, the selection of tires, the selection of gearing. You think about all of that during the off period of time before you're racing. But there was a line from the movie that Steve McQueen made that said that racing is life, everything else is just waiting. And that's not exactly true, but there is a degree of accuracy in what he said there.
Well, when I think of dedication, outside of the time it takes to actually, and money it takes to travel to a track, and the separation from my family sometimes, the dedication for me really is on the track. If you want to go fast, you've got to be dedicated to what you're doing. And if you're not dedicated, you're not going to finish well.
In my case, the nervousness kind of goes away once you get in the car and that you're on the grid, and you get more focused on actually how you're going to run the race, where you're going to brake, where you're going to turn, how you're going to take the start of the race, and that it preoccupies your mind. So the nervousness, the butterflies that you had before, kind of go away.
Since we are running for fun, I'm not going to nerf and shove people out of the way. I like to put pressure on people, and people put pressure on me the same way. And I've learned over the years, I've had a lot of help. Pete Hoakinga has helped me a lot in how my driving technique works. And but I'll push it. I try to get the max out of it as best I can. So I would say I was semi-aggressive. I passed a friend of mine yesterday on the inside of a turn, and I went to him last night, and I said, I didn't mean to nerve. He said, man, it was a great pass. So, okay, I did a good job, and I'm real happy about that. I'm not going to try to put those other people in danger, because we're not here for fun. This is for fun, not money.
That's a really good question, and it's kind of hard to answer. I would say that it's pretty apparent that I'm aggressive because usually I go pretty fast compared to others. There was a time in the race car that I owned some years ago that I got very, very comfortable in it, as I mentioned earlier. And it was just jumping into something you've known for a long, long time. And when you know the course well, you just work yourself into a rhythm. Oh, brake here, turn here, do this, do that. And at that point, it's just a matter of correcting hopefully small mistakes. And I just remember one time at Hallett in the fall, going around that track, and it was It wasn't like sleepwalking, but it was a rhythm, and it was like almost like music. It was truly amazing. I haven't gotten that way yet in the yellow car, but I'm working on it.
Oh, I think this has been a great experience here at the Circuit of the Americas to be the inaugural, like Jeff and I were talking a while ago, to be at the inaugural race, national championships here, and doing as well as we did. We ran a lot of races in several days, more than we've run a lot of time. Most of the time we run maybe 5 races a weekend. We ran 9 this week, and all the cars went back to the pits in one piece. We drove them in, so that's a big, big plus. The cars ran well. The track is just unbelievably fantastic, and it's a great experience for us. But to me, I'd race in a parking lot if they let me. It doesn't make me any difference as long as everybody's on the same track. But this is a great experience, one I'll cherish.
Yeah, I think this is. We were very privileged to have our cars selected for the inaugural event here at Circuit of the Americas. They have over 500 cars, but they had over 800 applications for people to run this race. So the people that are racing out here are among the best amateur drivers probably in the United States. And we got to see that today. The people are turning some fantastic track times. My team I think we were particularly good. We've got some very good drivers that are with the Alamo team. But it was an honor to have the cars accepted and the drivers accepted to this race because I don't know any opportunity we get to race on a track that's 2 years old, and this is the finest track that I've ever raced on, although it's very technically challenging. But it's a pleasure to drive, and I've driven the track in practice maybe 6 times, and then we did qualifying race and a feature race, and I'm still learning. So, but if they do it again next year and I get invited, I'll run the Nationals again next year.
It has been such a pleasure racing for this team. I got pulled into this when Jeff asked me to team drive his car in an Enduro, and that kind of worked into me driving it, by myself. And through that, I've gotten to know Kermit, Suzanne, Billy, Brenda, Ed, and the rest of the team, and it's just a fabulous, fabulous opportunity. And I've had the time of my life.